This is K-Pop Sunday, brought to you by your K-Pop Sundays before you have to go back to work on Monday. We are your hosts, Oldar,
Serin,
Min,
and JR.
Hi, and welcome to the very first episode of Season 5! We're kicking off our return by talking about a group that have been our most requested group so far, Eagle5. Before doing research on this group, we were curious about why they've been requested so much since as far back as 2022. But after doing the research, we understand why our audience believed that we were the right people to tackle this very unusual group. So let's just jump right in and explain who were Eagle5.
Eagle5 was a first-gen boy group that was only around from 1998 to 1999. While their name is typically written out, at times they can be seen referred to with the 5 being written with the number itself. They were under Seoul Enterprise for their first album and Channel Entertainment for their second. For their 2 albums, they're mostly known for their hit songs Squid Alien and Fire. Aside from the music, the group is also remembered due to their members.
The member most closely associated with the group is Lee Dae-young, who was better known in Eagle5 as Danny. He moved to the US when he was 2 years old and grew up in LA before returning to Korea permanently in 1994 when he was around 9 years old. Before his debut, he lived in the same apartment as DJ Duck. Lee Han-il thought his rapping was cute and he would give him pocket money. At the time he debuted, he was 12 years old in international age, so he couldn't appear on some shows. As of August 22nd, 2015, he tied with Yang Yanga for being the youngest idol to appear on Music Bank. But the first member to be recruited was Kim Yoo-jin. Side note, there was one magazine that actually referred to the spelling as the English name Eugene, so we don't know which is correct, but anyway. Kim Yoo-jin, who was also known as Ron. His family moved to the US shortly after he was born, and he grew up in Florida and Hawaii. He and his mother returned to Korea in 1995. Ron became the first member of Eagle5 after he saved his future manager from drowning in the Han River. He appeared on KBS's Super Sunday, or Super Sunday, in fall 1997, becoming the first member to appear on TV prior to debut. However, he dropped out of the show in November to focus on the group's debut. He was 17 years old international age at debut. The next notable member is Shim Jae-won. He was 15 years old international age at debut, and he had a very sweet appearance and a distinctive snaggletooth. He has quite an interesting career, but we'll get into the details later. So another thing I want to point out, when he was young, he had a very strong Busan accent. He is from Busan. And I've seen him speaking in the accent even after he made his second debut in the other group. But he doesn't really seem to have such a strong dialect nowadays if you watch his TV appearances later with Pua and all the other SM celebrities.
In order to explain the final 2 members of the group, we first need to talk about the members who didn't make it to debut. So Ji-won got to record the album and stayed in the dorm as some of the members, but ultimately didn't make the cut. He still stayed in touch with Danny and Jae-won after that. However, that wasn't the end for him. He later debuted in 2002 as the leader of the R&B group 5. Lee Sang-baek almost became a member but didn't make the cut. He ended up debuting in 2004 as a member of the duo Easy Life and later debuted solo as Turboy. According to a SugarMan 2 appearance, he produced a few songs for Eagle5 and was one of the Squid dancers during the group's performances for Squid Alien. Park Gun-tae was also introduced as a member in magazines between January and March 1998, along with Ron, Jae-won, and Danny, and he was the oldest member of that lineup. He originally wanted to be a classical singer, but gave up after puberty changed his voice. He was originally supposed to be the lead vocalist. Jin Se-hee was also introduced as a member in magazines between January and March 1998 with Ron, Jae-won, and Danny. Han Ji-myung replaced Se-hee, but was only listed by name in the April 1998 issue of Junior in the label news update section.
Im Sang-hee ended up replacing Ji-myung and was 16 years old, international age, at debut. Ahead of their debut, he appeared with Danny, Ron, and Jae-won in the April 1998 issue of I Love Star, and the May 1998 issue of Star Touch. The final member to join the lineup and make it to debut was Jung Chi-Hoon. He joined after Gun-tae and Se-hee left and became the main vocalist of the group. He was the oldest member at debut at 17, international age, as he was about a month older than Ron. But he only promoted with the group for about a week. Even though his voice was on the album and his pictures are included in there as well, he suddenly left the group and never reappeared in the entertainment industry.
So there was an actual video by Sungjun on YouTube that got deleted or something, but I watched it once before it happened. And he said that the original Chi-Hoon just ran away from the dorm at night.
Oh my.
So he basically ghosted the entire staff and the entire group.
That
was why he had to be recruited on like a street, like street casting.
Mm-hmm.
He was just picked up like as he was minding his business, and they were just telling him, you have only 1 week to practice all this dance, all the lyrics, and just go on stage. And he couldn't even tell his parents that he was going to be on TV.
That's crazy. His replacement was Yoon Sung-jun. He became the main vocalist and leader of the group. Coincidentally, Sung-jun became the oldest member like his predecessor, as he was also 17 international age at debut. But this sudden change of a crucial member caused a lot of issues. His voice wasn't on the album and couldn't be added as it was already on sale. So, during promotions for the first album, he went by the previous member's name. Sung-jun also wasn't included in the May 1998 issue of Pastel, as the Chi-Hoon listed was the original member.
Eagle5 debuted at the beginning of April 1998 with the song Orbit. It's a hip-hop track that includes airy vocals, kind of like a small choir is standing behind them. The lyrics are about someone going through struggles, then getting back up after they see a light coming towards them. The first lines are, quote, "The world keeps rotating, orbiting, even though it gives me a hard time, and even if that much pain strikes me, I can see the light too," unquote. Which is probably one of the strongest starts of a debut song ever. The choreography for Orbit was very powerful, which became a hallmark of theirs. This is most prominently seen in the beginning as the members slowly and strongly flap their arms like they're eagles taking flight. That is a very good description of the dance. But it also feels very odd. But that's not all. That's just the beginning. It will be weirder. The music video for it primarily takes place at night with the members in a narrow grey hallway, wearing black t-shirts, pants, and trench coats with yellow-lined hoods. The storyline starts with the girl walking down that hallway between the members. Then, we see her sitting down in a dark red room with the members surrounding her, dressed in khaki and orange short-sleeved hoodies. Between that are flashbacks of events that have stressed her out. It starts with her leaving a car after being told off by an older man, presumably her dad. She goes to a club to drink with her friends and leaves with the guy on a motorcycle. After he tries to kiss her, she walks off. We then see the members sitting down to talk with her, and she seems to be at ease with them. It ends with her hiding in the bathroom stall, then coming out to see the members there to comfort her, with Ron reaching out to hug her.
The members were styled a little bit differently for their performances of Orbit, known as Kwedo in Korean, than they were for the music video. Instead of dark trench coats, they wear nylon pants and t-shirts with clear short vinyl tops that look like ponchos with eagle crests. At times, they look like they're wearing long sleeve shirts, but sometimes they're clearly just wearing shirts with detachable sleeves. The very first performance we found of Orbit was on April 4th when they appeared on KMTV's show Music Pink. This one in particular is interesting as it's possibly the only stage where you can see the original Chi-Hoon performing. Aside from that, the group also appeared on SBS Inkigayo and MBC Music Camp, even on Dream Concert 1998. It was also during this time that Eagle5 had activities related to music shows they appeared on. For a segment on Music Camp, they cleaned up graves at the National Cemetery, 국립현충원, and left flowers for the deceased. And ahead of the 1998 FIFA World Cup, Inkigayo had Eagle5, Shinhwa, Diva, and Yoo Seung-jun appear on stage together to cheer for Korea. And at one point on Inkigayo, Orbit shot out 13 spots and made it to the top 20 at number 19. For a debut song, that's not that bad.
After promotions for Orbit wrapped up, they moved on to the follow-up song that most people know them by, Squid Alien. The song sounds so poppy, yet so outer space, and is nothing like the rest of their discography. It's not just the instrumental or the vocals either, as the lyrics for Squid Alien also stand out because they are, to put it simply, absolutely bonkers. It starts with talking about a couple of squids having a picnic and getting mad at each other. One of them pieces out, and he ends up falling to Earth right into a sewer. While there, he meets a pretty girl, and the squid falls in love instantly. He notices the differences between them and thinks they can't be, but he still wants to kiss her. It was produced by Baek Jong-woo, one of the performer members of Maronia, during their Cocktail Love promotions. His wife, Kim Ji-young, is listed on Komka as being the one who wrote the lyrics, but if you find a physical copy of the album, you'll see that it lists Danny as being the one who actually wrote the lyrics. Over the years, Danny has frequently stated that he wrote it, and I found an article from 2016 where he claims he's still receiving royalties from the song. So it appears to be a case where adult proxies did the registration on his behalf. In 2022, Danny explained how he wrote the lyrics. He said that his boss got a demo tape, presumably for the instrumental, and told Danny that he'd put his name on it if he wrote lyrics during the Chuseok holiday. So, while he had a break from school, he watched the cartoon Dooley and got the idea for the song when he saw a character fall into the sewer. As Danny was 12, international age at the time, that's not an entirely strange show to get inspired by. If you look up any information on the song, you'll commonly see that Danny is listed as being 13 during this. That's partly due to people counting his Korean age, but also as his birthday is in July, he turned 13 internationally during Squid Alien promotions. An additional fun fact about the song is that Ron wrote some lyrics that you can only hear during performances, as they weren't included in the official audio on the album. That said, there are a lot of K-pop songs that sound like they're meant for idols much older than the teens who are performing them, but Squid Alien isn't one of them. The song's youthful sound is complemented by how the members were styled casually during promotions for it. They looked like they were wearing outfits that teens actually wore during that time, with black pants, white shirts, basketball jerseys over the t-shirts with a cartoon Squid Alien on them, and accessories that made the members easy to distinguish. Danny typically has a backwards blue cap, Jaewon has yellow glasses, Sungi has a white hat, Ron has a cap that hides his long hair, and Sungjun, aka Chi-Hoon, version 2, is the one without a particular accessory.
And then there's the music video. It follows the storyline of the lyrics pretty closely, as it starts off with an angry King Kong squid, they call him that, but he's an octopus, smacking his friends with his tentacles, then shows the squid alien meeting the girl and dreaming of getting kissed by her. The set feels like something out of a school play with a dark space background with stars and rocks, a moon-esque floor, and green vegetation. It's bright and stands out well. This music video also does a great job of introducing the members with listing their names next to them. In addition to the accessories mentioned before, the members dressed up as the characters in the story. The squid, Ojingo, is played by Danny. The octopus, Muno, is played by Ron. The robot, is played by Jaewon. Alien 1, Wei-gein 1, who looks like Bowser, but friendly, is played by Sangi. And Sungjun was Alien 2, Wei-gein 2, which has claws. The members as themselves are seen in the music video when the squid dreams of what it'd be like to be a human able to ride on a scooter and to talk to the girl he likes. But his dreams often end in tears, like when the girl comes up to him holding a dead squid in her hand. Luckily, it has a happy ending with her kissing the squid on the cheeks while the other aliens cheer.
As for the performances of Squid Alien, they were very lively and fun. Unlike Orbit, when they flapped their arms strongly like they were flying eagles, this time they're a little bit more wrigglier, like their arms were squid tentacles. Very squid-like. Big squid energy. An interesting fact about this dance is that there is actually a dance practice video for it on Danny's YouTube channel. In addition to the members dancing energetically, they usually had two people dressed up in squid costumes on stage. Sometimes the costume would be the one Danny wore in the music video, and other times it would be a simpler costume. Depending on which performance you watch, the squid in question could be wearing jorts or other types of clothes. We do love jorts though. Another reason why Squid Alien is fun to watch is that there were a few performances with live vocals. Depending on which one you're watching, you might hear Danny yell, Jaewon fighting, or a very audible ow. The stages were chaotic. During promotions, they were also attending events such as the SK Telecom concerts, with other popular groups such as HOT, Seskis, and Finkel. These concerts doubled as both consumer appreciation and charity events. In the past, funds from these events led to school violence prevention and books being donated. While promoting, the group appeared on music shows to do segments like dancing to Michael Jackson's Thriller. For Inkigayo, they had a short skit about summer vacation that they appeared in with Finkel. The members of both groups work out, study, and end with watching Inkigayo. If you didn't know better, you'd think they look like they could have actually been school friends. But then again, Danny later admitted that he would go up to Shinhwa, Baby Vox, and Finkel to act cute for no reason. He also confessed to have pulled the hair of at least 2 Finkel members, so they were familiar with them.
At this point, you might be wondering about the rest of the album, Orbit, and where Squid Alien come from. Eagle5's first album was called The Infrared Journey. It was released on April 27th, 1998, a few weeks after they started promoting, and had 12 tracks. The cover art is grayscale and shows the members dressed in hockey gear. From left to right is Ron, Chi-Hoon, the member who left by the way, Danny, Sangi, and Jaewon. From the upper right-hand corner is a fully colored bald eagle that faces the text that shows Eagle5's name in yellow. Most of the album's booklet has images of the members in their hockey gear in a field with hockey sticks. But then you look at the CD and it's them at a beach kind of greenscale wearing zip-ups and shorts. Believe it or not, this also has nothing to do with the music itself and was more to do with what was popular at the time. Think Taesaja wearing suits while walking in a snowy field for Tool.
As for the music itself, Orbit, Squid Alien, and The Infrared Journey all have one thing in common: space. Fairy Tales of Adults is the first track on the album and it explains this premise. It's a very soft song that's spacey and includes the sound of a rocket taking off. The lyrics are about searching for the abandoned dreams of their youth and heavily references the classic French story The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. The album is essentially a musical retelling of that journey. Emergency is very existential. It talks about how from afar, Earth looks beautiful and peaceful. But then you look close and see that the inhabitants are the opposite of that. The narrator wants to leave and go to a better world. Similar to Emergency and Orbit, Our Heaven deals with the same themes but sounds grander. It's existential and about feeling hopeless in the world, saying it'd be easier to just give up. However, they're holding on because someday they want to show their lover a world that is beautiful and peaceful. It's a ballad that has a rap focus while having a somber yet eerie sound to it. Side note, soloist Kim Hyun-jung did the background vocals, which is interesting timing as she had her breakthrough after this album. Meanwhile, Copying is about the current state of the world. The rest of the songs on the album are about screwing up in love and regretting it. Other half is about a guy getting tired of seeing his girl so much, then regretting that. The Past Flashback has a similar message, but interpolates Dream a Little Dream of Me. On the other hand, Second Meeting shows they have an opportunity to get back together and the guy's determined not to blow it. Similarly, Inside of You is a soft ballad about being left with memories after a lover has moved on to another love. Dear Friend is a soft ballad about wanting to be happy again after grieving the loss of a loved one. The hip-hop version of this song is the final track on the album. Considering how The Little Prince ends, this final track hits harder than if it wasn't following the storyline.
Earlier, we mentioned that Danny wrote the lyrics for Squid Alien. However, he wasn't the only member to contribute lyrics for the album. Unfortunately, the album doesn't explain who did what, but Eagle5 are credited for writing the lyrics to Fairy Tales of Adults, Second Meeting, The Past Flashback, Other Half, and Dear Friend. During that time, it wasn't unusual for groups to do so, and shows that they had promise. The tone and overall message also connected with the IMF crisis that was going on at the time, which is another reason why it's memorable. But unfortunately, Squid Alien was too much for 2 of the members. Sangi left because he wanted Copying to be the follow-up track instead. Ron also left after promotions wrapped up. Years later, in 2016, Danny confirmed that Squid Alien drove those members away. Thus, the rest of 1998 was spent figuring out what to do next.
Meanwhile, on February 11th, 1999, the album 1999 대한민국, which translates to 1999 Korea, was dropped. The company Daycom Cheollean wanted to make a song that could appeal to the younger generation. They did research and found the keyword hip-hop. From there, they reached out to the leader and producer of the group X-Teen to kick off the project. Ultimately, 34 Korean rappers were involved with the album, including big names like X-Teen, Drunken Tiger, and Diva. There's a lot of information about this project that will need to be explored at another time, so we'll only be focusing on how it relates to Eagle5 for this. Danny was one of the rappers included in this project, but unlike other artists, we don't have any specific story about how this came about. We speculate that it could be possibly due to Doremi Records working with both Daycom for this album and Eagle5 for the Infrared Journey as a distributor. The album has 16 tracks and Danny appears on 4 of them. 1999, Viva Himanga, Igot and then Soul. So if you watch the music video for the title track, you'll easily be able to spot Danny. The music video is pretty intense because between the rappers performing, there's a little girl, who, by the way, is future actress Shin Se-kyung, watching awful events like a bridge collapsing. Side note, there is another Danny who is also credited in this album, but he is the male member of the duo Us, who was also known for being the former group of soloist Yoo-tae.
And trust me, when you listen to the album, you'll figure out really quickly who's who.
Yep, because their voices are very different.
You can't mix these two Dannys up.
Mm-hmm. The album had an overall theme relating to the state of Korea at the time during the IMF crisis. It both criticized greed and also gave messages of support to the nation going through a hard time. Although it might seem strange to include 13-year-old Danny, the sound and message fit well with Eagle5's album, so it wasn't too much of a stretch that he was involved in this.
Yeah. And I've told the other Sunbaes that it reminds me of, like old school assemblies where they want to give you like some sort of message like, hey, cool kids don't bully, and they've got like some cringe song. It's like that, but not cringe. It's like what those school assemblies try to achieve in coolness, because it's actually, produced by talented artists who want to share this message. So that's kind of a funny note about it. It was around this time that Eagle5 returned with a new album and 2 new members. Pre-debut, Chae Jin-hyuk did kickboxing in school. For his audition, he sang songs by So Tae-ji and Kim Kyung-ho. The other new member was Yoon Tae-jun, also known as TJ. He attended high school in the US, but returned to Korea in the summer of 1998 for school-related reasons. 3 days before his departure, he was noticed by Eagle5's manager, Inap Gujong, who was on the lookout for new members after Ron and Sangi left. The manager followed him to an arcade to convince him to join the group. He was auditioned by songwriter Kim Hyung-suk and ended up joining the group. One more change with the group was that Chi-Hoon went by his actual name, Sungjun, from then on, which is a good look since he's the leader and not just a replacement at this point.
Eagle5 took flight with their new song, Fire, in February of 1999, and they really came out of the gate swinging. Fire has a dramatic start with sounds of a rocket getting ready to take off. Then it turns into a fast-paced dance song. Fire is a breakup song with lyrics about how a love that was once a wonderful thing has ended sadly. It uses the imagery of fire to explain how love can start in an instant or burn you. The choreography for Fire matches this energy and includes moves like popping and the scorpion. Additionally, the leader cartwheeling in to do his part was such a power move. But it wasn't completely wild, as the group was typically styled in elegant, silky outfits, with detailed eagle imagery and other grand embellishments. The music video matches the song perfectly. It starts dramatically with the moon rising rapidly over a city skyline at night. Then, a pillar of fire appears, and from the flames stands Eagle5 with their name in fiery text above them. Throughout the music video, there are lots of visuals involving fire between shots of the members dancing powerfully. Like Squid Alien, at the beginning it lists the members by name so you know who is who. The color red is prominently featured in the background with shots, such as the members are under red balloons. The music video was filmed on February 7th, and it was very eventful according to Music Live's March 1999 issue. First of all, Jaewon's birthday was on the next day, so a surprise party was thrown for him. Towards the end of filming, Danny sustained an injury to a ligament in his thigh and had to get treated. For the rest of the dance scenes, one of the backup dancers, who looked similar to him, took his place. Performances of Fire were vibrant. Not just the song, the outfits, or the choreography, but also the power behind the stages. At times, it looks like the members are ready to jump into the audience. Pyrotechnics during certain stages also added to this, so it was received very well by the public. As in March, it ranked in the top 20 songs on charts for that month.
Fire was the title track for their second album, Love Story. It had 11 tracks and was likely released on March 1st, 1999, early on in their comeback. The cover album has a white background with simple text of Eagle5's name in the bottom right corner. In the foreground is a large fiery eagle with outstretched wings. Inside the eagle are the members in grayscale. From left to right is Jaewon, Seongjun, and TJ, and then below Seongjun is Jinhyuk, and at the bottom is Danny. It's a very striking cover that is reminiscent of their first album, but more refined. However, unlike the Infrared Journey, it's not themed after one particular story. Instead, it's a collection of love stories that ended in heartbreak and regret.
But that doesn't mean it was sappy by any means. Intro is the first song on Love Story that has no vocals and incorporates rock with hip-hop to get the listener hyped for Fire. Another hard-hitting song on this album is What Is It?, which is a hip-hop track about a guy who is struggling to cope after his lover left due to him screwing up. Then, there's Someone in My Dream, which starts with an ominous, I can make you all go away anytime I want to, said in a low voice, but then flips to bright dance music. The lyrics are about a guy telling his friend he likes her, but she rejects him and goes out with someone else. They're not a good couple, and every time she comes back to him for help, he tries to comfort her and encourages her to go to her boyfriend, even though he's dying on the inside. Breakup in the TV is a questionably bright dance track about falling out of love and dreaming of breaking up before they even date. Similarly, Game Over is also a dance track where a guy notices his girl is drifting away and he's trying to tell her he loves her. Between these bright songs are slower dance tracks. In My Heart is about realizing that you're not the one for the one you love. At the First Breakup starts with a soft piano, then drops to a dance track about someone waking up and remembering that they're single now, and sadly processing that. Then there's Fantasia, which echoes the theme of the Infrared Journey with being separated from a lover and wanting to be with them in another world. Speaking of their first album, there's a remix of Our Heaven on Love Story that fits the vibe of the second album. And finally, For the Memories starts with an electric guitar rendition of Over the Rainbow, then turns into a dance track. It's also a breakup song that has its moments of raging, but this time it sounds like the guy is ready to move on.
All in all, Love Story was a good album and maintained the fiery energy that fans came to expect from Eagle5. At this point, their name was usually lumped in with other big idol groups of the time. One example of this could be seen when on May 4th, news came out that Eagle5 would be one of the groups to have DNA merch made for their fans. They were actually one of the earlier groups to do so of the approximately 30 groups who ended up being involved. Multiple items would be made from this, the most notable being the necklaces. We'll get into the DNA merch at another time, but just as a disclaimer, no, fans didn't actually get their blood. No, don't listen to Tony. It was just jewelry that had interesting designs, but it wasn't anything sinister, I assure you. Getting back to Eagle5, at this point you're probably under the impression that they were doing well and on their way to do more as a group. However, activities and news of the group dried up soon after the DNA merch went on sale. We don't have exact dates or enough information to even speculate about this, but Eagle5 appears to have disbanded quietly soon after promotions for Fire wrapped up. And thus, after only being active for roughly a year, the members flew the coop. So now that begs the question, what happened to the members? Well, shortly after disbandment, Jaewon became a trainee at SM. He appeared as the performance rapper, meaning he lip-synced in the music video and live performances for SES's Twilight Zone. Then, in 2002, he re-debuted in the group Blackbeat. He went on to be a choreographer at SM and a member of Beatburger. At some point, we'll do an episode on Blackbeat, so I'll go more into his time at SM during that, as I feel that's a more appropriate time to do so.
The second member to reappear was Ron. In August 2001, he debuted as a solo artist with the track Run. It was a dance track that was perfect for him, as it emphasized how effortlessly cool he was. Unfortunately, by the end of the year, his activities ceased and he ended up leaving the entertainment industry for good.
Shortly after Ron's activities wrapped up, Danny re-debuted as Rich in December 2001. His solo debut song, 사랑해 이 말밖엔, which translates to I love you, that's all I can say, was a sleeper hit and many people remember it fondly. Not only because it's a good song, but also possibly because the music video for it had 4 versions in a kind of choose-your-own-adventure way, one of which rivals one of K-Will's. Ha ha ha.
Very relevant nowadays.
But at first, people didn't realize who Rich was because he didn't appear in the music video. He was singing R&B instead of rapping, and he was slightly older, 16 in international age. Also, he didn't show his face until he started being interviewed and appearing on late night music shows. It became a popular proposal song and was the start of his very long solo career. He also became a producer, a husband and father, and even tried to get into the Olympics for golf. And fast forward a few years, Rich now also owns a pub. He's still active to this day and is the main person through which Eagle5 fans will hear updates on the other members.
The final member who reappeared in the entertainment industry for a time was Sang-hee. He re-debuted as a singer-songwriter in 2007 under the name Sang-yeon, which led him to establish his own label, Soul Music, and become a producer. He only released 2 singles, My Name is Sang-yeon in 2007 and Second Story in 2008. After leaving the entertainment industry, he ended up working at a taxi company.
As for the final 3 members, they never made a return as entertainers. We don't have any information on Jin-hyuk's whereabouts and assume he went on to live a quiet life away from the stage. As for Sungjoon, his name suddenly shot back into the news in October 2011. There was a rumor that he was the fiancé of actress Chae Jung-yoon. She was befuddled by the situation and denied the claims that her future husband was Eagle5's leader. Rich, Danny, heard the news and backed her up by revealing that the real Sungjoon had actually gotten married the previous year and had a kid. At one point, he ran a mobile phone store and later started a delivery business. But in a surprise twist, it turns out she was marrying a member of Eagle5. The media just listed the wrong one. Her husband-to-be was TJ. This was when everyone found out that he was the oldest son of Eland Group's vice chairman, Park Sung-kyung, which is a huge company. We're talking big like they've got a theme park called eWorld and they're a chaebol big. After Eagle5 disbanded, he moved to the US and studied economics. He got into business separate from Eland and was thriving. By the time actress Chae Jung-yoon met Yoon Tae-jun, it had been about a decade since he was an idol, and apparently it never came up in conversation prior to this debacle, which is hilarious because she did an interview where she was talking about how she was surprised how well her in-laws received her as being an entertainer because she was a bit worried that they'd, think badly of her, and then for her to find out, oh, maybe they're cool with it because their son used to be an idol. So that was a bit of a shock to her a couple days before the wedding. They went on to get married and had a daughter. Unfortunately, he got arrested for stock price manipulation in 2017 that landed him in prison. In another wild coincidence, the husband of a former Miss Korea was the prosecutor for the case. TJ's out of prison now, but the final sad update we have about him and his wife is that they announced they were getting divorced in 2021.
As mentioned at the beginning of this episode, Danny, aka Rich, is the member most people associate with Eagle5. Aside from what he did when the group was active, the reason for this is that he has been the member most active in the industry who's interacted with the public, as Jaewon is usually more behind the scenes, and also because he talks about the group the most. In 2015, Rich was summoned on SugarMan for episode 5. Dara from 21 fangirled very hard when she saw him. At one point, Rich was asked if Eagle5 would ever get back together, and he admitted that even though he wanted it, doing so would be difficult due to how busy the members were and that Ron lived in the US. That was when Rich explained that Ron worked for the CIA, and during a phone call with him, he was warned that their conversation could get wiretapped. This created quite a buzz, but several months later, Rich clarified that Ron wasn't a special agent. Apparently, he thought so until the news reached the CIA and Ron told Rich that he was being investigated due to all the press. As it turned out, he worked in the accounting department that cuts checks for the actual agents and wasn't involved with any investigations. It didn't seem like Ron was trying to hide it from Rich, so much as he didn't expect him to run to the media acting as if he was a special agent. Unfortunately, it was later revealed in 2017 that Ron had left the CIA. But as always, Ron manages to be cool even as an accountant.
But what exactly was the legacy of Eagle5? Well, at first, a lot of people chalked them up to being just another dance group of the 90s. In 2004, there was even an article that bashed Squid for his lyrics and said that Eagle5 songs lowered the level of Korean songs. Eagle5 was also mentioned when the members re-debuted, but opinions didn't really change as it was still popular to discount them until the late 2000s. In 2008, they were listed in an article discussing 5 member groups. And in 2009, Rich sang Squid Alien for the first time in 10 years at a fan meeting during his solo comeback, and the fans enjoyed it. In 2011, during the whole Fiancé debacle, it was reported that not only did people revisit Eagle5's music, the media was also saying Squid Alien was loved by teens back in the day. Artists who interacted with Eagle5 also talked about the group. In 2012, Shina talked about them on KBS2 TV's 승승장구 and how they saw them as a rival group. Ulala Sessions' Park Seung-il was revealed to have been a dancer for the group. Actor Lee Si-yeon of Reply 1997 talked about how he was a friend of Jaewon. In 2013, Lee Soo-kyung energetically sang Squid Alien on Knowing Bros episode 78. And finally, in 2019, the lyrics for Squid Alien were a quiz on 놀라운 토요일 or Amazing Saturday. And as a result, it ended up on real-time search word rankings on Naver. As a bonus, he mentioned that Jaewon was his dance teacher at SM, and he said that the trainees would watch the music video of Squid Alien because Jaewon was a very strict teacher, and the trainees just found it really funny that such a scary teacher could have such an embarrassing past as an idol. Last but not least, Fire also got some love in 2021 when it was included on 20th Century hit song 20세기 히트송, along with many other songs from that era from artists like OPPA or Ubis. Although most of their songs haven't received anywhere near the same recognition as Squid Alien, and most people probably couldn't name a member besides Danny, Eagle5 has been remembered long after their disbandment. Their sound is still relevant decades later and endures because they gave it their all. And for a group that was only around for a year in the late 90s, that's not a bad legacy.
To wrap up, Eagle5 was a dance group that has endured the test of time due to their music and how unique their story is. If you haven't had a chance to listen to Squid Alien, Fire, or the rest of their discography, we highly recommend you give it a chance. Ditto for their solo work. Before ending this, we want to thank our listeners for requesting this group and for being patient while it took us time to put this episode together. But that's it for today. JR, take it away.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, then please make sure to rate, subscribe, follow, and tell your friends about us. If you want to interact with us or just see more of our content, then you can follow the links in the description to our website, social media platforms, and coffee. Also, don't forget that our next episode comes out on July 21st, 2024. Thanks everyone. Bye!
Bye!
다음에 봐요.
안녕.